Hello and welcome to The Inquisitive Crafter. I'm Katrina Stewart from Crafty Jacks, and today I'm going to be sharing with you a little bit about some of my recent makes. But before I do that, I wanted to say a huge thank you. So a couple of weeks ago we had Fibres West here in the Lower Mainland. So for those of you that don't know, I'm located in Pitt Meadows, which is just outside of Vancouver, British Columbia. And every year we have a fiber festival called Fibres West, which is held in Cloverdale. Now, the last time we had Fibres West was in 2019 because we were halfway through setup in 2020 when it was shut down because of COVID restrictions. So this is the first year that we've had Fibres West since COVID lockdowns. And it was so nice to be back, and it was so nice to see everybody again. And I can't tell you how grateful I am for everybody who came and said hello, and for all of you who shared your makes with me, who shared the things that you've been spinning, the things that you've been knitting, the things that you've been weaving. It was so lovely to see all of that, and I thank you so much for that. I also thank you to those of you who shared with me how much the classes over at the School of Sweet Georgia, how much you've learned from those, and how much you've enjoyed them, as well as how much you have enjoyed these videos that I share here on YouTube. So thank you for taking the time out of your day to share that with me, because it really means the world to me to know that people actually like these videos and enjoy watching them. So thank you. Now, before I get started on my makes, I also want to share with you a little bit about the structure of the company that we have here. So Crafty Jacks is essentially myself and my mom Judy, or that's who started it. So I do all the dyeing, I teach classes. That's sort of my role here. I do a lot of the admin work as far as the administration of the website. I'm the person who deals with the emails as well as all the shipping. So we are not a big company. My mom does a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, helps keep me organized, and she is the one that is responsible for the things that are sewn on our website. So she does the spinning aprons and bags and baskets. All of those things are made by her. Then my husband Eric does a little bit for me as well, and he is sort of responsible for all of the wood-turned items. So the spindles, bracelet looms, all of those things are made by my husband Eric. And then finally, in the last couple of months, I have hired someone who is my in-office helper. And so her name is Lisanne, and she has been a most wonderful addition to our team. She comes in a couple of days a week. She helps with things like rescanning. She does a lot of the carding for me, so all of the bats that you see are now prepared by her. I prep all of the fiber ahead of time, tell her what I want her to do, and she creates them for you. And honestly, I could not have gotten through the Fibres West weekend without her, so a huge thank you to Lisanne as well for her support that weekend. I am forever grateful. Now, without further ado, on to the makes. So the warp that I put on my brand new spring, so I bought a new to me spring about a year ago now, and it needed a little bit of love, so it took a while for it to get up and running before I actually put a warp on it. And honestly, part of my delay in getting a warp on was feeling a little bit nervous about it. I'd been weaving for a couple of years on a Cherryville loom that had been gifted to me, and the spring felt like a huge step up, and I was nervous that I wouldn't be as good a weaver on it or something. Not really sure what my mind was going through, but there was definitely apprehension on my part to get it up and running. Now, it did need some love when we got it, so there was a couple of months of ordering parts and fixing a few things, which I'm grateful my husband knows how to do. But then once we got it up and running, it took me a while to actually work up the nerve to put a warp on. And that warp was on the loom for quite a long time. I just didn't have a lot of extra time in between prepping for Fibres West and a few other things going on. So this warp took an incredibly long time to get off my loom. I made the mistake when I was getting ready to warp this set of tea towels, and I asked my kids, should I do 6, 8, or 10? And so my youngest went and grabbed one of her D&D dice, and she rolled it, and she says, it says 10. So I warped up for 10 tea towels. And the thing that I love about making tea towels is they are a great place for playing with color and experimenting with different options in that way. And so with this one, my warp was a very simple gradient warp. And so you can see that it goes from black through sort of the grays into cream and then white and then back out to black again. And so for the first couple, I love playing with things like alternating. So in between the different colors, I transitioned them and did one thread of like the black into the charcoal. And so there's one and one and one. And what I find really fascinating is when you look at the interplay in some of those colors, you can see that blocking. And I find that part really fascinating. So I wanted to play with that a little bit in the weft as well. And so I didn't start with that. So the first details that I did, I just wanted to do sort of virtually the same thing in that they are just playing with the same colors that were in the warp. And so they're just black to white or white to black. I never make my tea towels identical. I always like to do reverses, so you can see that this one starts with white and this one starts with black. And it's the same for the rest of them. None of them are perfectly identical, but some of them are the opposites. And then I moved on to, because I was in the middle of prepping for Christmas when this warp was on, I'm like, oh, I'll do a couple of Christmassy themed ones. So I did one that started with red and was mixed in with white in between the greens and reds. And then I did the same thing, but I did that with greens being the dominant color. And then I had some variegated yarns. So I've had these colors from Ashford, actually, from the very first time I ordered yarn to start making tea towels and weaving. And the Ashford cotton is a little bit heavier than your standard 8-2 cotton, but it comes in these really fun variegated shades. And so there's, I think, 5 or 6 different colors. I think there's 6, but I only used 5 of them. So I used 2 of them on this tea towel. So there's a blue sort of one that has blues and greens and grays in it and whites, and the other one that has sort of more blues and turquoises and sort of like a yellowy green in it. And so that is what it looks like. Now these ones have created sort of a heavier tea towel, which is also kind of nice. So I'm going to be playing with this cotton from Ashford a little bit more and seeing what else I can do. So you can see that these ones are a little bit brighter. So there's 3 colors in this one. So this is sort of the first color, which is like varying shades of reds and pinks. And then this one is sort of reds and oranges with some whites in there. And then this is sort of oranges and yellows and into a green. So they're kind of fun. And my daughter, when this one came off, she says, "Mom, that one's mine." I told her that when she's old enough to move out and require tea towels of her own, I will make her her own set at that time. And then next up, I decided that I would do sort of some gradients within the weft as well. And I wanted to play with the same thing that I had done in the warp, where I was alternating between 2 colors. I wanted to do the same thing in the weft and see what happened there. And so I found that some colors really, when I look at them on their own, they, like in the cones, they looked a lot starker difference than what they wove up to look like. So there's actually like, I think 7 or 8 colors that I put in here, and this end bit that was sort of yellows and oranges really didn't show that up. And so that was a lot of fun to sort of play with that gradient effect and how that worked. And then of course, because I can't do anything the same, I had to offset this sort of warm tone tea towel with sort of a cooler set of tea towels. And this one is mainly greens with a little bit of brown and a little bit sort of a limey green. And this one's probably one of my favorites. And again, I was playing with how to vary color and doing the alternation with 1 and 1, and really sort of playing with 2 shuttles and how to weave that way. And then these last 2, I had to play with some bright rainbows because who doesn't love a good rainbow? So these ones were sort of a play on a rainbow in that I didn't use sort of the standard reds and typical colors that you see in a rainbow. I sort of went with brights and slightly different ones. And then again, because I can't do anything the same, I sort of played with the rainbow again, and I kept sort of the colors that I'd used in that first one, the sort of brights, but then I went even brighter and did that, and I also went on to the pale shades as well. So as you can see, I had a lot of fun playing with color in my weaving. Now, when I get towards the end of my warp, I always have a little bit of leftover, and I spent a bunch of time just sort of using up different ends and playing with different colors. And again, really practicing my technique to get my edges really even when I'm alternating between different shuttles. So yeah, that is just sort of my little scrap, and I use these for hand towels. Eric's thought that maybe I should cut it in half and we could have some little face cloths or something, but for now it's just a little hand towel. And then next up that I wanted to share with you are some of these bags that Judy has sewn. So this past summer and a little bit over this winter actually, I have been playing with a little bit of ice dyeing. Now Judy had some old honestly drop cloths and different things like that, and we were just playing. So I was playing with ice dyeing, and Judy is making bags out of that ice dyed fabric. So these are some of the super cute little bags. Judy's playing with different patterns and different styles and coming up with different things and sort of adjusting them as we go. So she's not working off a commercial pattern. She's sort of designing them and adjusting the sizes and seeing what we like and what we don't like so that we can come up with a line that we're really happy with. But they're all fully lined with pockets, and I just had so much fun making this fabric, and there's so much more of it. She's made a couple of the Japanese knot bags. So these are some of my absolute favorite bags to have small on-my-go projects with. So a friend of mine was laughing at me this morning because she's like, "You knit everywhere." And I'm like, "Yeah, I do, because otherwise how would I get stuff done?" And so I always have a bag with me sort of wherever I go. So school drop-off, school pickup, doctor's appointments, anything where I feel like I'm going to be sitting waiting, I have a project bag with me. And so one of my favorite bags for that purpose is the Japanese knot bag. And Judy's been playing with different sort of designs and trying to figure out exactly what makes the best sort of design, the depth and stuff for like simple on-the-go projects. But yeah, the fabrics for these, I am completely smitten with how the ice dyeing works. And then she's also been making some sort of little tote bags. And so, yeah, that's sort of what's been going on here as far as making goes. There's a few other projects that I've been working on that I can't share just yet, but those will come later this year. And so that is that. So that's a little bit about what I've been making. The bags will be up on our website when this video goes live, so you'll be able to access some of those. And for the first time ever, some of the tea towels will be up for sale as well. There's a few that are already spoken for, but I'm going to give that a shot. So that is what's going on here. So again, if you joined us at Fibres West and said hello and shared with me your makes, I am so grateful. Thank you. And I hope you've enjoyed this video today. If you have questions that you would like me to answer in one of our future tutorial videos, please send your questions to ask@craftyjacks.ca. Or if there's anything else that you would like to see me talking about on this channel, please send your requests to that same email address. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for everything. Crafty Jacks wouldn't exist without you guys. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.